We're Rich and Kirsten, and in the summer of 2020, we purchased a minivan, converted it into a mini camper, and went on an epic adventure across Canada in our new tiny home. Along the way, we discovered that we loved climbing mountains and living a simple van life together. So as winter approached, we drove back home, bought a Ford Transit, and converted it into a tiny home to keep the van life adventure going. So buckle up and enjoy the 6-month-long ride from an empty shelled cargo van to our beautiful tiny camper on wheels. Now the moment that I've been waiting for so long.
High five! Our build officially kicked off in October with the installation of our insulated floor. The Ford Transit has metal ribs in the floor, so we filled the gaps with plywood and glued it to the van. To save some height, we used 1/2-inch foam board for insulation, glued it to the floor with foam board adhesive, and sealed it for moisture protection. The next day, we laid our subfloor, sorted out all our vinyl planks, and laid them down, locking them as we went.
Exciting moment, I must say. The most stressful part of the entire build for me came right near the beginning, when I cut a hole in our vehicle for the very first time. There it is.
Holy shit, that's a piece of our roof.
Okay, that fits really good. We put pilot holes to help secure the roof vent, framed the hole inside the van with framing lumber, and protected the flange from the elements with self-leveling lap sealant before finally putting in our Max Air Deluxe roof vent.
Yay! This is the first package that we received for the van, and I've been dying to open this. We chose to use Havelock wool for our primary insulation material because it's naturally breathable, mold and mildew resistant, and safe to work with without protection. We stuffed the Transit's cavities full of wool before tuck taping the wool to the wall panels and stuffing more wool in the van's sliding door. We used 3/4-inch aspen plywood as our studs and secured them to the van using bolts and nylock threaded nuts for resistance against vibration. For our ceiling insulation, we used XPS board because, well, have you tried taping wool to a van roof?
We still had to run wires in the van for our lights and our electric water pump before installing the walls and ceiling. We used plastic looming to protect our marine-grade copper wire and zip ties to keep the wires in the ceiling. We cut holes in our 1/4-inch plywood ceiling for our light fixtures and secured the plywood ceiling to our vehicle with screws. Our ceiling had some visible separation, so we filled the cracks with wood filler and painted over them.
Look, I could feature in my own Renaissance painting. Bye. The main focal point of our van build is our Murphy bed, complete with a shiplap back in a chevron pattern. We nailed the shiplap to the inner bed frame before attaching the outer bed frame and trimming the shiplap with 1/4-inch plywood for a nice, clean look. We made the partition walls out of 3/4-inch maple plywood and installed them along with the 1/4-inch walls before hooking in our new bed.
I am so happy with how this bed turned out because this bed looks sick. It looks exactly as I hoped it would look. To keep the bed in the upright and locked configuration, we purchased these sleek and surprisingly strong locks from Amazon. We installed them on both partition walls, and so far they work exactly as advertised. We cut our bed slats using leftover 3/4 inch maple plywood from our minivan build and installed them in the bed frame before moving on to cutting, painting, and mounting the wall panels for the other side of the van.
Well, there is the first part of our bench. Look at all this storage space. Great. Both our bench and upper cabinets were made with 2x2 framing lumber and 1/2-inch maple plywood. The upper cabinets took a bit of wrestling with to get level and square due to the shape of the Ford Transit's roof and walls. We screwed the 1/2-inch plywood onto the bottom of the frame and wood-filled and painted the cracks between the wood. We installed a hinge and eventually a piston in our bench to gain access to the storage, which has proven to be useful to us already.
Adding shiplap above the bench back really helped bring our van's look together, and this part of the job went significantly quicker than putting the shiplap on the bottom of the bed.
Perfect. So happy we didn't try to get too fancy there.
I hope that gives you guys some perspective on how small that space is.
We built our lower kitchen cabinets around the most important part of the kitchen, our fridge. From there, we sized out the pull-out pantry and the electrical cabinet, painted the plywood, and assembled the whole unit. Ta-da! We also assembled our sink unit for painting and install at a later date before moving on to figuring out our drawer sliders. That was easy. They go back together like this.
Oh, it clicked. It worked.
It's good. It's perfect. This is my Joey dance. First time's always hardest. We did it!
We built all of our drawers using framing lumber to create the frame, sanded it down, and screwed more 1/2-inch plywood to the bottom before adding sliders and installing them into the van. This is the countertop that we chose. It's some sort of light oak color. I'm not 100% sure. IKEA did not have a lot of stock options. This was one of the 2 or 3 that they had available, and I absolutely love it. It really pulls together with all of the colors we've chosen for the van. This particular countertop is not solid wood. It is a composite material with a 1/8 of an inch veneer, which helped us save money. I'm not really concerned. I think it looks professional.
It does fit.
There you
There,
go.
see? It fits.
After much contemplation, we decided to take on cabinet face making ourselves, which turned out to be much easier than originally expected. We made them all out of scrap 3/4 inch plywood and 3/8 inch wood trim, gluing the wood trim onto the plywood and then wood filling all of the cracks before sanding and painting. We're thrilled with how it all turned out. They look awesome.
And this is the final product. We decided to go with matte black fixtures, so our faucet also matches these, and these really simple pulls.
We started by assembling the sink unit before moving on to designing some extra storage behind the Murphy bed. We used solid wood strips of various sizes to build the shelves, and more 3/4 inch maple plywood for the 2 cabinets. At this point, we can finally see the finish line. We used standard extra strength mortar to glue the subway tiles to the kitchen and a wet saw to cut the tiles. We chose white grout for our kitchen because we wanted our backsplash to fit in, not stand out. We emphasized other parts of the build and really wanted to ensure that they didn't clash with each other.
Have a sink.
Finally, we sealed our sink and our faucet with silicone to ensure that no water gets under our counter and into our sink unit. And we are finally almost done the van build.
We hope you guys enjoyed watching the transformation from empty cargo shell to tiny home on wheels. If you have any questions about the specifics of our van build, we made a whole series detailing the process from start to finish, so you can go check out any one of those videos in the playlist. Feel free to drop a comment down below with your question, or join us on Patreon, where you can get more behind the scenes content, including a full and complete budget line by line with everything that we purchased for the van.
At the moment, our travel plans are a little bit uncertain. We have a few small changes and upgrades that we still have to make to the van that we're going to be working on in the next week. So we'll do a quick update video before we go too far, just to show you the small changes that we did make along the way. We are going to be doing a video here on our main channel about exactly how much we spent, but as Kirsten mentioned, if you want a line by line breakdown, check us out on Patreon. As always, a special shout out to our patrons for making videos like this possible. We're so thrilled with the final result. Our van looks exactly like we expected it to.
Except for the colors. We did change the colors like 3 times.
Anyways, thanks so much for watching.
Bye.